Hey guys, so in today's video, I wanted to talk about how I learned to transfer from my wheelchair into the car. This all happened, this whole learning process occurred when I was still at the inpatient rehab unit because basically the goal of the task of getting into the car was so that I could leave the inpatient rehab unit. So, for those of you who are unaware, I had multiple seizures that lasted over 8 minutes each. And this was back in October of 2024. As I'm filming this, it is December of 2024, and I stayed at the inpatient rehab unit for almost a month trying to get physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. I only was in speech therapy for about a week before they said that I didn't need it anymore. I was mostly in it for memory issues and things like that, like recalling what happened and events like that, and sorting pills and things like that. So, one of the tasks at physical therapy was to be able to transfer from my wheelchair into the car. For those of you who don't know, I am a wheelchair user. I use a wheelchair every day, all day. I'm not someone who is able to walk currently. Hopefully, sometime in the future, I'll be able to walk, but as of right now, I'm not able to. So I'm pretty much paralyzed for the most part on my right side. I do have a little bit of movement. I am able to wiggle my toes on my right side as well as my thumb and my index finger. I'm able to move a little bit. And that's pretty much the extent of the movement that I have on that side. So it took multiple days, multiple physical therapy sessions that were like an hour and a half long each. Not that the whole entire session was spent on working on car transfers, but there was at least one session where the whole session was just working on car transfers. And I think that was the one that was closest to when I was actually going home, which was like the day before I got discharged from the inpatient rehab unit. Um, so the physical therapist that I was working with down there and myself really had to come up with a plan for how we could safely get me from my wheelchair up into a higher SUV type vehicle, because all of the vehicles that are owned that by the people that were coming down to pick me up are Jeeps. And so it was something that we really had to figure out. Like, there is a whole entire process that I have to go through every single time that I get into or out of a vehicle. And it's a lot. So we started out practicing not with the actual vehicle, but practicing with the fake simulation car that they had at the physical therapy gym down there, at the rehab center. And so we practiced. The first time, I got very scared because I almost fell, even with the physical therapy assistant and the physical therapist. Like, they had their arms under my arms and like trying to hold me up, and like I got very scared. So I was really hesitant about even continuing to practice just because of how scared I got, which obviously, like, things are scary when you're having to relearn how to do something as simple as getting into a vehicle. As someone who is 36 years old, it's very stressful. So I was able to finally work through that. I worked with one physical therapist on a day that my main physical therapist was out sick or out with a sick kid, and she was not a good match for me, like work wise, because she was like super drill sergeant ish, and I just didn't get along with that type of work ethic mentality. It was not helpful to me at that point in my recovery. And so, like, she was basically pulling me, and I didn't like that. I didn't feel like I was in control of the movement, and I felt like I needed to be in control of the movement so that I was able to do it. Like, I needed to feel confident in the fact that I would be able to do this when it was my turn to go home, if that makes sense. So, we practiced. Like, we practiced transferring from my wheelchair to other surfaces, practice transferring from my wheelchair to the bed. And all of this is not just for car transfers, but it was also just for daily living type tasks as well. Because obviously, as someone who's in a wheelchair, you're not going to be in a wheelchair 24/7, 365. Like, you have to be able to transfer to the bed, to the toilet, to a shower chair, things like that. So while it was also helping with the whole car transfer thing, it was also helping with, completing ADLs, or activities of daily living, which I still struggle with to this day. But I am able to transfer up to a certain number of times. It's just, I get very tired very quickly, and I'm working on that. That's one of the things that I'm working on in occupational therapy right now. Um, so we eventually got it figured out to where there's an exact angle that I have to be angled at in my wheelchair. There's a handle that I have to hold on to pull myself over to sit like on the edge of the Jeep. And then I have to hold on to the car door to be able to push myself up with my good leg onto the edge of the seat, and then somehow figure out a way to push myself back while still sitting up. It's a whole process. Like, these are things that I think people who are able to do these tasks really take for granted, because there's a lot that I have learned in this whole rehab process that is crazy. Like, things that I never would have even took a second glance at or thought about, for extra time, anything like that. Things that I wouldn't have hesitated to do prior to having this happen, this paralysis happen. Now I'm having to look at things in a different light, and having to think about how blessed I was to be able to do these things prior to all of this stuff happening. So eventually, like I said, we spent an entire day of physical therapy, which was like an hour and a half before I got discharged from the rehab unit, practicing with the actual car that I was going to go home with, or go home in. And the first couple of times it was rough, and like, the physical therapist was getting in from different parts of the car, like different sides, trying to look at everything and help me figure out a way that I could feel confident that I was going to be okay performing this. And I just want to say that I am so thankful that I had the physical therapist that I had at the rehab center, because she helped me become much more confident. Like, when I first figured out that I was paralyzed on the right side, I was very upset, angry, frustrated, and I still go through those emotions. But she helped me look at things in a different way, and helped me, like, be able to do things, or be able to think about how physical therapy can actually help me. And I just wish that right now I was able to get into see physical therapy at the rehab center that I currently go to. There's no availability, and I've been doing occupational therapy for a month, but I haven't been able to do physical therapy since prior to November 1st. So the end of October, I got discharged from inpatient rehab November 1st, 2024, and the last time I had physical therapy was on Halloween. So October 31st of 2024 was my last physical therapy like session, and I'm very frustrated that I have not been able to get into physical therapy anywhere up here yet. And like I said, it is the middle of December 2024 as I'm filming this. So it's just very frustrating. And I just hope that I am able to get in somewhere soon. We're trying to see if I'm able to get established with a tribal provider so that I can get access to the tribal physical therapy department, because we're hoping that maybe they might be able to get me in sooner, because I feel like I need physical therapy. But anyways, that I got a little bit off track, but I wanted to share with you just how much of a process it was for me to learn how to get into a vehicle from my wheelchair so that I could go home. And like I said, I still use the same exact methods that I learned that day, like the same arm placement, the same hand placement on the handle that's on the dashboard to pull myself from my wheelchair to the edge of the Jeep, and then from the door handle to push myself up. Like, it is a lot. And so I just hope that you don't take for granted the freedoms and the independence that you have if you are someone who is able-bodied and is able to do these things without the assistance of others. Like, I still have to have someone pick up my leg from the ground, my right leg off from the ground, to put it into the car because I can't do that on my own yet. Um, so I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to do that. But as of right now, I haven't made any progress with my leg, just with my hand. Um, and like I said, that's just with the thumb and the index finger. And there is a little bit of wrist movement, but it's kind of like not against gravity. So not doing this, but it is like moving it down or contracting the muscles a little bit. You can feel it. Like if you touch my forearm, you can feel the wrist muscles trying to work. So it's just a matter of trying to unlock all of the muscles so that they can communicate with my brain and my brain can communicate with them so that they can do what they need to do. So it's going to be a long process. The road to recovery is a long one. And, I don't know exactly what function I'll get back and how much. So it's very frustrating to me. But I wanted to share that with you. If you guys have any questions or any other topics that you would like to hear me talk about on my channel, um, let me know and I'd be glad to film something for you. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys in my next video.